Have you ever noticed how the neediest people always seem to cling to you? And it's not random. There's a reason why needy people gravitate towards you, especially with introverts. And once you understand it, a lot of your past friendships, relationships, even family dynamics are going to make more sense. And I'm not here to drag anyone or paint introverts to be as victims. I just want to talk about what actually happens. Because if you're introverted, you've probably lived this more times than you can count. So let's get into the real reason why this happens. Emotionally needy people, they're drawn to peaceful energy, and introverts naturally give off that calm, grounded presence. You don't come with the bullshit. And people who are overwhelmed, they can feel that. They notice it right off top. Even if you're not saying anything, you're calm. It feels like a relief to someone who's emotionally needy. It feels safe. You feel like someone that won't judge them or talk over them. And that's where the attachment begins. And another piece of that is that introverts listen differently. You don't listen to respond, you listen to understand. You pick up on the signs in people's tones, body language, energy. You create space for others to express themselves. And most people aren't used to that, especially not emotionally needy people. So when they finally find someone who's quiet, empathetic, observant, and not draining, they latch on to that quick. And here's where it gets complicated though. Emotionally needy people, they often mistake your silence and compassion as an invitation to unload. Not once, but it's quite often. They assume that you can handle their emotions because you seem strong, calm, and just well put together. But you're just being yourself. You're not trying to be anyone's therapist, but the way you show up, thoughtful, grounded, and patient, it makes them feel like you are. And let's be real, you don't open up to people. You're selective. It takes time for you to trust someone. You don't spill your whole life in the first conversation. So when emotionally needy people share and you don't, it creates one-sided bond where they feel closer to you than what you feel to them. They start thinking, this person gets me. I can come to them for everything. But you're sitting there thinking, damn, we just met. How did I end up being your therapist? Here's the part most introverts don't realize. Emotionally needy people, they're seeking more than attention. They don't know how to soothe themselves, so they're looking for someone who feels stable. And you become that person without even trying. Your energy gives them comfort, and that's why this pattern keeps happening to you. Not because you attract the wrong people, it's because your presence feels so safe to them. Now, before we go deeper, I want to say this clearly. There's nothing wrong with being a safe person. There's nothing wrong with being empathetic, calm, or understanding. Those are beautiful traits to have. The problem is when the relationship becomes unbalanced, when someone is constantly draining you emotionally and you're becoming exhausted and overwhelmed. So now you're starting to avoid them because it's too much. And if you're an introvert, this probably isn't new for you. You've been the go person for emotional support as long as you can remember. You've even been the listener and the fixer just to keep the peace. This happens because emotionally needy people confuse your calmness. They assume silence means strength. They assume that you don't talk about your problems means you don't have any. They don't see the weight you carry because you don't show it. So they treat you like you have room for theirs. You'll start to see their patterns though. Now let's talk about recognizing when this is happening because it doesn't always show up as obvious at first. You'll notice it in small ways. Emotionally needy people, they start depending on your reaction to feel okay. If you don't respond fast enough, they worry. If your energy drops, they assume that they did something wrong. If you set a boundary, they take it personal. And pay attention to this one though. They start expecting emotional access to you at all times because you're the person they vent to, they cry to, and it becomes a pattern. you'll also feel that shift within yourself. You'll notice you start preparing your energy before you even talk to them or rehearsing how to respond so you don't trigger an emotional meltdown. You might even avoid opening up their messages because you already know it's going to be too much. And if you catch yourself doing that because you already know this conversation is about to drain you and you don't have the energy for it. And another sign is that the relationship feels one-sided. They know every detail about your life because they keep asking and digging. But when you think about it, you realize you barely even shared anything with them. You don't discuss your business to anybody. And here's the truth that introverts rarely admit out loud. You don't feel safe opening up to emotionally needy people because you know if you do, the emotional weight of the relationship will double. So you stay because you're already carrying enough. And this is where the guilt creeps in because introverts don't like to hurt people. You don't want to seem rude, dismissive, or uncaring. So you deal with that longer than you should. You do it by staying available, listening, comforting, even when it drains you. So how do you shift this dynamic without becoming cold or harsh? It starts with one simple shift. You stop seeing yourself as someone who owes people emotional access just because they're comfortable with you. You're allowed to be kind without becoming someone's emotional caretaker. You're allowed to have empathy and boundaries too. You're allowed to be supportive as well. And I want to say this clearly. Protecting your energy doesn't make you selfish. It makes you balanced. Because when the relationship or the friendship drains you more than what it pours into you, that's not a connection, that's emotional dependency. You're not too quiet, you're not distant, and you're not hard to read. You're just someone who needs emotional safety before opening up. And there's nothing wrong with that. The truth is, emotionally needy people don't choose introverts because introverts are stronger. They choose introverts because introverts feel safe. And once you realize this, something shifts. You stop blaming yourself for attracting these kind of people. And you'll start noticing them sooner so you don't get emotionally trapped into that roller coaster with them. Now, I'm not telling you to cut everybody off or stop being a safe person, because being a safe person is a gift. You're calm, your presence is a relief, and your emotional awareness is on point. Those are qualities people value. But the goal is to give that energy where it's reciprocated and not get taken advantage of. So if this spoke to you, it's probably because you've carried weight in silence for so long. And now you're finally realizing why. And I want you to sit with that for a moment, not with guilt, but with clarity. Because once you see this pattern for what it is, the next question becomes, how do you protect your energy? How do you protect your energy without feeling guilty for pulling back? And that's a conversation we need to have on its own. Because the guilt introverts feel around boundaries is a whole other layer. So if you're ready for that conversation, I'll do another video that will help you take that step.